okay, he's got autism. What does that mean? I didn't know what it meant. And let me tell you, I found out the hard way.
I would say autism has enveloped our lives. I don't think it's touched it. It's knocked it down, kicked its butt, completely enveloped it.
Sometime around like the 1 year mark, he definitely stopped responding to his name.
When Dylan was first diagnosed, it was devastating. I mean, I think for the first 2 years, I woke up every morning, and before my feet even hit the floor, I was sobbing.
I think my biggest concern was never hearing him speak. And it's so difficult because at 8 years old, he's still not speaking.
You have that idea of taking care of your wife and your kids. And there are things that you can't take care of. That's devastating as a man.
Quite honestly, if he had cancer, it would be easier to deal with than autism. Cancer, I could deal with. I would, and I don't say that lightly. I think I would rather him have cancer than autism.
And it puts such a strain on every part of your life, including your marriage. I was terrified to have another baby. I actually thought that I never would.
Patrick was about 9 months old when I found out that I was pregnant with my second child. I was so upset over what was going on with Patrick, and to think that I could be doing this all over again, I was completely petrified.
The rates of autism have skyrocketed. It's now 1 in 27 boys in the state of New Jersey. That's a huge increase.
There is something going on, and because it's not genetic things don't happen all of a sudden to determine an epidemic. It's something that's going on in the environment.
I'll never forget the first practitioner who spoke to me about cleaning out was Nancy O'Hara. And, it was like a light bulb went off. Like, oh, maybe I can do something about this.
Autism can be prevented. Not in 100% of the cases. This is a genetic predisposition, but there are definitely environmental triggers. And if we can look at what those triggers are and remove those triggers, either prenatally or immediately postnatally, then we can make a big impact on the numbers of autism.
Looking back, I feel terrible about not questioning certain things more. There's a part of me that feels guilty for what happened to Dylan.
The signs are there early on, and the sooner you deal with it, the better your chances are of beating this horrific disease.
So if you go back and look at his medical history, which I have done, and you look at all the visits, the pediatric infant visits, all the signs were there that he was heading towards autism.
I am terrified that I won't be around forever for Dylan. But my biggest fears are, what's going to happen to him?
What happens to him when we're gone? That's the constant worry. It's I tell Corinne I'm going to work till the day I die because, there's got to be something there for him when we go.
I don't want any family to ever have to go through what Dylan has had to go through.
It's a tragedy for our civilization in the sense that I think that the children who are more vulnerable would have been kind of the top 10% of the smart people. And that capacity to be very smart is associated in some way with being sensitive in the way they got him in trouble.
I think people need to take prevention very seriously so that they don't have to suffer and so that their children don't have to suffer. I find it devastating that people act as if we don't have a problem, and we're never going to get to the root of the problem until we at least admit there's a problem. Autism is increasing. It's at alarming rates.
I really had a lot of faith that we had made the right decisions when it came to Kieran, and that we weren't going to have any issues, and we've been blessed that we didn't.
I was very successful in preventing autism in Jessica. She had all the makings for a child that was going to go on to be diagnosed with autism. And it was everything that we did through the help of all these practitioners that prevented it.
I am afraid that this new generation of people aren't going to remember what it was like for our generation where nobody had autism. I think that's something that really scares me.
We didn't have it 50 or 60 years ago. How can it not be preventable? It's absolutely 100% preventable, which makes it that much sadder.